Hey everybody, I'm the MoeChicken. Welcome to my stream. Bleh. So, as I mentioned in my last stream, I am sick. It is hitting me hard today. I don't feel like I want to do anything. I've just been kind of sitting around, and I decided, it's like I'm gonna be sitting here playing Dark Cloud 2. That's what I was gonna do. I was gonna grind in Dark Cloud 2. Why don't I stream it? Maybe someone will care. So. It's gonna be a low energy stream probably. I don't know, I feel like if I was gonna be doing something that, advances the game I'm playing on stream, why not stream it? So that's your thing. Feel free to stick around and watch me just go through levels in Dark Cloud 2. Really selling it here. Let's play the game. Yeah, we're gonna be going through more Moonflower Palace. I played a little bit on my own, and I got to the first branching path, and I figured the offshoot that led nowhere would be the moon route, but I guess this being the Moonflower Palace, you go the moon route to get towards the exit, so we're gonna have to play this level again. The Zombie Zone. Welcome back to the Zombie Zone. Good times of the Zombie Zone. So. Yeah. I mean, you might be able to tell from my voice. It's like I'm getting all the awful sick things right now. I've got the cough. I've got the weak feeling. I've got the part where you like the part where you sweat for no reason. Like I took a bath, and then shortly afterward I was like, did I take a bath today? Like, less than 30 minutes later, I was feeling gross again. I was like, did I take a bath today? I don't even remember. Because, man, being sick just makes you feel gross. It's a gross feeling, so. I'm sure that's very exciting. But, other than that, I guess I'm okay. It's fortunate that it's falling on a weekend. It's not impacting work at all, so that's something at least. The other thing that's a little bit unfortunate, just for my own personal comfort, is that it is getting warm outside again. It's warm this weekend, which I suppose is technically a better thing. It's, better to be sick when it's like warm than when it's cold, because your body supposedly handles that better. But I hate it because it means that like I can't I can't bundle up. You can't really bundle up in like blankets when it's warm outside, and bundling up in blankets, not speaking correctly, is what I want to do when I'm sick. I want to like get on the couch and like wrap myself in a bunch of blankets, but if I do that right now, I'm gonna start sweating, and it's gonna be gross. Sweating more, it's gonna be gross. So. Yeah, unfortunate for me, but I suppose technically better. Yeah, I've spent a lot of the day today just kind of like, I watched a lot of Game Grumps earlier. I was watching their Twilight Princess playthrough again. That's a game I've never played before. I've never played Twilight Princess. I've actually, the only 3D Legend of Zelda games I have played are Ocarina of Time, which I played multiple times. I played part of Majora's Mask. I never finished Majora's Mask. Because I didn't like it, personally. And then, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It's like there was a huge gap where I just didn't play any, Oh, I did play a little bit of, Skyward Sword. That's right. Would you attack me already? Come on. I'm shooting fireballs at you. That's kind of attack me. This guy's cool looking. He looks like a Halloween decoration. Yeah, so there was like a big gap where I didn't play any Zelda games for a while. I don't know why. I actually don't know why. I even had Wind Waker and a GameCube when it was like still sort of new, but I just wasn't interested in it for some reason. I don't know. I honestly wasn't interested in the GameCube much in general. Because I think I've mentioned this before to y'all before. I got a GameCube and a PlayStation 2 at the same time by virtue of two good friends of mine who were brother and sister at the time. Well, they're still brother and sister, but they were good friends at the time, and they are brother and sister. And as I understand it, in their family, they really go all out on gift giving. If they can, like, they try to come up with a gift that will really make the person that they're giving it to happy. So they don't read off of like gift lists or anything. They just kind of try to figure out what would make this person happy, and that's what they give, which is an admirable mindset, certainly. And they don't care too much about how expensive things are. They're like, if this will make them happy, I'll get it for them. Like, for example, one time, the sister noticed that the brother in that family, he kept having to like sit on like the edge of his bed when he wanted to play like a video game. So she bought him a couch. She's like, you need a couch. You need somewhere to sit. I'm gonna buy you a couch. Well, so these two, they're like, we know you really like video games. We're gonna buy you a GameCube and a PS2 at the same time so you can play all the video games. And I was just like, I mean, because my family's not like that. We buy presents usually off of lists. And so when they just gave me two of what was currently modern systems at the same time and games to play on them, I was just like, I don't know what to do. This costs multiple hundreds of dollars. How do I respond to this other than thank you, I guess? Anyway, the short of it was, since I got those both at the same time, and at the time I was really into RPGs, in particular this game, and they got me this game, I just played this. And so, like, for me, for a long time, my GameCube was pretty much just like a machine to play Super Smash Bros. Melee on. And I'm not really like a huge Smash guy. I don't really know much about it, or I'm not very good at it. But I really liked Melee because I liked the collecting aspect. I really liked getting the trophies. And so I would play Melee to just like get trophies. And then that was all I used my GameCube for. And then maybe like Double Dash if I had someone to play it with. Which is not, it's a shame for the GameCube. The GameCube was a fine system. It had a lot of great games on it. But at the time, I mostly used it for Melee. And that and Metroid Prime. I love Metroid Prime. I can play Metroid Prime on my channel at some point. I love that game. But anyway, why was I talking about this? Why did I go off on this tangent? Man, I'm sick. I don't remember things. I'm sick right now. I don't remember things. Why was I talking about all this? Oh, Zelda games. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so I never played Twilight Princess. I don't know if I would like it or not, honestly. It looks kind of, it's very muddy looking, I remember. Like, I remember getting that impression from it because I feel like art and color design in a video game is very important. Probably not surprising for me. I do lots of artsy-fartsy stuff. But I think a game is heavily impacted by its art and color design. And I think with Twilight Princess, what they were going for, they heard the negative fallout from the design and appearance of Wind Waker, which is a very bright, colorful, and like pleasant to look at game, but also a very like cartoony sort of game. And they said, okay, well, if people didn't like that, let's go the other direction. And they just kind of dunked the whole game in tea. And so everything came out looking very brown. And, I mean, there's something to be said for that. Like, that's a choice. But it's not a choice that I really think goes great with Zelda, personally. And that kind of invites its own questions, like, okay, well, what is Zelda? Zelda is just a game franchise, you know, it doesn't mean that, like, every game is the same or anything like that. I mean, that was the whole concept behind Breath of the Wild, is that they're like, we want to get people away from this mindset of, is this a Zelda game? And we wanted them to think of it as, what kind of game is this? And again, something to be said for that. So, I don't know. Not for me. I didn't like the art style very much in or the environmental design in Breath of the Wild. I actually liked the art style. There were a lot of cool things there. I really like the design of all of the Twilight things. How they because like I didn't pick up on this until sort of, I guess, well, this most recent watching of the Game Grumps playthrough, that this idea that the land of the Twilight is sort of like a land of the dead. I think that's what they're going for, because the idea is that when all the Hyrule people are in the Twilight, they're ghosts. They're basically spirits, which would suggest that in the realm of Twilight, that's where Hyrule ghosts go, so to speak. So if you kind of think of the land of the Twilight as like a land of the dead, then it's a very unique take on this concept of land of the dead. Because, you know, when you think about land of the dead, there are a lot of really standard things that come to mind. Ghosts, darkness, zombies, skeletons, you know, all these like Halloween sort of things. Well, that doesn't show up at all in Twilight Princess. Like the Twilight, again, this is all working on this assumption that it was supposed to be like a land of the dead. It's more like an alien landscape than a land of the dead. And from that perspective, I think it's really cool. I think, like, I was looking at those, you know, the sort of, like, heavy guys, they're kind of like, they have humanoid bodies, and they have, like, a big mask on their faces, and they've got, like, tentacle hair coming out the back, and I think you have to use, like, the hair zip move to attack them. What was I doing? I was doing this way. Okay, smash and exorcism. Got it. Those guys. I didn't explain it very well, but hopefully no one doesn't know. I like those guys as, like, as an analog for, like, the standard knight, I guess, of the Twilight realm. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling about it. I liked the design of the Twilight. I also really like Zant. I know Zant he gets a hard time because he's so goofy, but he's definitely one of those characters that if he's just standing there and doesn't say or do anything, there's like a quiet sort of intimidation about him. I actually think Zant's design, especially like the weird helmet, because I like weird masks and helmets in general. That was one of my favorite things about Shadow of the Colossus, the idea that, like, they had these masks to represent each one of the colossi. I was like, oh, these masks are cool. Like, I guess you'd call that a totemic mask. I like that kind of thing. I think that's really neat. These guys are the worst. I hate these Silvergear monsters are way too strong. They do so much damage. It's ridiculous. Alright, hang on, y'all. Hang on. Give me a sec. Monica. Revive Monica. Eat a banana. Drink some water. Eat some cheese. Oh no, they're in perfect synchronous now. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna go for a sec. Give me a sec. I'm gonna go. Give me a sec. A little of this. Oh yeah, since the last time I played, I made a flying ride pod. Forgot to mention that. It's cool. I think I also upgraded the ride pod's like capacity as much as possible. So the ride pod's pretty well stacked at this point. Alright, they're all dead. Hooray! I did it. That was awful. Way too strong, the silver gears. They're very strong. I don't like it. Everything needs so much leveling right now. Some smash in there, I guess. Oh, I only got one. Okay. I gotta go buy more of these. Anyway, just to finish the thought, I like the design of the Twilight Realm in Twilight Princess. I think it's cool. Regular Hyrule, though, where it's all like yellow and orange and like brown, I don't like that as much. Less fond of that. It's a very dull-looking Hyrule in Twilight Princess. By design, I mean that was the intent. They wanted to make something that didn't look cartoony, didn't look childish, none of that, because they got so much bad press about that from the previous game. That's one of those things that I like to do, with longer series like Zelda or like Final Fantasy. Is you pay attention to the changes that are made from one game to the next, and try to imagine how how feedback from each game led to the decisions that were made. Simple example. Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. Final Fantasy 1 obviously was the first, so no feedback from that one. Final Fantasy 2, one of the most radical shifts was the change in the way that leveling worked. So you think, well, why would they have made that change? And you think, well, maybe they got feedback that people were frustrated about having to stay in one area and grind for so long. And so they made a system wherein
all right, that takes care of you guys.
Characters would only really get stronger if you didn't stay in one place. And so it's set up more to encourage people to move on rather than staying in one place. Okay. So then you think about, okay, well, what was different for Final Fantasy 3? Well, they brought back experience. So clearly some people didn't understand how the leveling system worked in FF2, so they brought back experience. Also, they included the jobs again. So why would that have been? Maybe people said that, like, they didn't like how open and non-specific the sort of no job system in FF2 was. And so they're like, okay, well, we're going to give you more direction. We're going to give you back experience points, and we're going to give you character classes to sort of show you how to move forward. And in FF3, the character classes are very prescriptive in terms of when they should be used. For example, you get the what do you call it? The scholar job right before you fight Hein. And you have to have a scholar in your party when in the fight against Hein so that you know what elements he's susceptible to. But beyond that, you don't really need to use the scholar job because there are no other enemies that are that demanding of your elemental stuff. I'm good at talking today. Or like the part after Fargabad where you have to go to that cave where enemies will split unless you specifically use the Dark Knight job. So that level's all about using the Dark Knight job. Anyway, all this to say, dropping my controller, all this to say, I think it's interesting to see, or to try to imagine how... Where am I going? I don't need to be out here. I don't need to be out here. I'm distracted. I'm going to save. I'm distracted, I guess that. I think it's interesting to try to imagine how, like, when you see the changes that were made in a subsequent game, to try to picture what feedback led to those changes. Is that interesting at all? I don't know. Feeling out of place. Monica is going to feel a little out of place in this level. Oh, it's green now. Oh, and look, the ground isn't broken anymore. That's kind of nice. Look, the carpet's fixed. Oh, I like it here. Does it feel out of place because it's nicer? It's a dreaded card. Oh no, the Red Queen has sent her minions to fight us. Feel my burning purpose, heart. So you can actually get these guys as like a monster transformation. They're kind of weird though. Like, they're... I mean, I was gonna say they're hard to use. Just about every one of the monster transformations is hard to use. By and large, I've said it before, Monica really kind of got the shaft in terms of like her specialty, the whole monster transformation thing, compared to Max. Max gets the ride pod, which is one of the most broken things in the game. Monica gets monster transformations, which are just terrible. They're just not very good at all. But the cards in particular are rough because I want to say every attack they have has a really noticeable delay, and they're all like close range abilities. You know what? Speaking before about like thought experiments and trying to imagine how feedback would impact it. If this game were remade or reimagined, or however you want to put it, and they were looking for things to change, I think one thing I would change to try to improve the monster transformation would be to make it so that when you got the badge for a particular monster class, you got a few different things you could play with. So we haven't actually seen it because I haven't done much with the monster transformations in this playthrough. But at a certain point, your monster will actually evolve into a different class. So, for example, I'm currently working on the Gundron, or is it Gundron? What are they called? What are they called? Oh, jeez, I can't remember right now. My brain really is addled. What is it called? Monster Transform? Gemron. Okay. I'm a Gemron right now. Level 15 Gemron. I think at like level 20, we'll get our first opportunity to evolve him, and he will become a Gundron, which you may remember from, what do you call it? Mount Gundor. At the time, if I remember correctly, we will also get the opportunity to evolve into either a Wind Gundron or a Thunder Gundron, which is cool. That is a good step in terms of making the monster transformations more compelling. The problem is that in order for you to get that little bit of variety, you have to level up to like level 20. And as y'all have seen, it's not exactly a viable thing to level up these stupid monster transformations. And I think if they had included some... Oh, nice, healing spot. Very good. Those are especially nice in levels where there's a white seal so you can't heal. If there's one of these in the level, it just doesn't... It's a regular level then. You know, it's very convenient. What was I talking about? Yeah. I think if they had made it so that you could transform into like a, because that card I have is for like the whole reptile family, I think, or that badge I have for the whole reptile family. Let me transform into like whatever type of Gemron I want. You know, it's like maybe I could choose to be a fire Gemron, or a water Gemron, or an ice Gemron, or a holy Gemron, or a wind Gemron, or a thunder Gemron. Let me be able to change it up, and then it will have more utility, because if there's a monster that's like really vulnerable to like fire or something, I can be like, oh, well, I'll use my Gemron transformation, then I can attack it from afar. Or, for example, what is it called? Animal badge? Hang on, what's it called? This one. The one with the rat head on it. When you get the opportunity to like class change that one, you can either choose to keep being a mouse, or you can become one of those charging ram monsters. We'll make that available from the start. Make it so that you can turn into like the charging ram, the mouse, maybe something else too. Like, give us options, and then she would be more flexible and usable. But I really do feel like the monster transformation was something they thought of as like a small, like limited time thing. You know, they're like, okay, well, we're gonna use this for the one thing in the Rainbow Butterfly Wood, and then I guess you can keep it. You know, it's like more of a, I don't know, I don't think they call it good. Which is a shame. I hate when you cough when you're sick and it leaves behind that kind of like stinging feeling afterward. That's like it's kind of like up in your sinuses, and it's just not fun. The only cool thing about being sick is that it gives you a good excuse to like indulge yourself. So if you want to just like take a nap in the middle of the day, you can just be like, I'm sick. Take a nap in the middle of the day. If you want a pizza, you can be like, I'm sick, and you just get a pizza. That part's awesome. The whole no guilt thing, I like that part. That's good. The rest of it's awful, though. Oh, maybe yes, but it's very nice. I'm currently trying to level up the holy, what's this thing called? The holy something blade? Holy Daedalus blade, yeah. Trying to transform it, because it's currently my weakest sword. My strongest sword right now, though, is the Ama no Murakumo. This one's awesome. Like, look at its attack patterns. Like, shoo, 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 shoo. Oh, it's so cool. It's really powerful, and it's cool, and it's got a cool name. It's like, oh, so cool. But they're gonna make her dad's sword stronger. You know, it's a funny thing. They reward you multiple times with swords in this game, but they don't ever reward you with an armband. Nobody ever gives you an armband. Also, nobody ever really gives Max a right-handed weapon. Max only ever gets like, let's see, he gets the Jurak gun, it's the laser gun, one of the better looking laser guns. And he gets the Nova cannon. So he gets a ride pod part, and he gets a gun. And when I say gets, I mean like as a reward for getting 100% completion on a stage, or on like a Georama area. Shoot, I don't have any more Smash. That's unfortunate. You flame them. And then Monica gets the Snake Slicer and the Holy Needler's Blade. So yeah, she gets 2 swords and no armbands, and Max gets a gun, gets 2 guns actually, one for himself and one for his robot. So, alright, well, I'll just leave it. I'll go get some more Smash after this level. I feel like my voice is like really grumbly today, because I've got like phlegm in my throat, and so I'm very like very grumbly. Oh, this is fun. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last one or not. I've been trying to learn about leather working, like making costume parts with leather recently. Because when I went to the Renaissance Fair, I was very influenced by the very influenced by the various like costumes and like armor and stuff. And I was like, oh, I wish I could do that. That looks cool. And a friend of mine told me, he's like, well, you know, you could buy like kits online and learn about it. And so I was like, oh, really? And so the last time I was at Michael's looking for like resin and like casting stuff, I decided to stop and like ask the guy, the clerk, he's like, do you guys sell any leatherworking? He's like, oh yeah, it's right over there. And there was a whole section for it. And they even had like one thing that was just like a build your own little like belt loop bag. Doggone it, I was supposed to be beating this whole level with just Monica. I forgot. Oh well. I'll get medals on my own time as well. Completely distracted there. I'm sorry. I don't know if anybody's gonna care about this stream. I don't know, I was gonna do this anyway, and I just thought maybe someone will like it. I don't know. I'll just like, keep saying I don't know over and over again. Anyway, yeah, they had like a make your own bag kit. And so I did that, and I was like, oh, this is so much fun. Like, I know that this was like pre-cut and like gave you everything you needed to do it, but it was not that hard. And so then I bought like just some leather and like a couple of more tools. And I made myself, this morning I made myself a little elbow armor thing. Like, you know, if you've seen like a suit of armor, you know how there's that little like kind of rounded or pointed part that goes over the elbow, and then it has like straps to hold it to the arm? I made that out of leather. Hey, it's ugly, sure. I mean, I didn't have a pattern or anything to go off of, but it stays on my arm. I did it. And so I'm like, yeah, look at me. I'm a costumer. I'm making costume parts. So that was fun. I was excited about that. I still need to. It's only got one strap right now, so I need to, like, if you're familiar with how those things usually. Great. If you're familiar with how those things stay on, usually the way it works is that there's a strap above the joint of the elbow and one below the joint of the elbow, so you can like, it stays on, but it doesn't impede your ability to flex your elbow. And actually, that's one other thing that's nice about me maybe learning about how to make some of this stuff is it's going to teach me how to draw it too, because as you learn how these things are made, you also realize that like there were certain assumptions that I was making about how they would work in real life that are not accurate. Prime example would be what I just described, the whole like strap above the elbow, strap below the elbow thing. In the past, when I would draw that type of armor, I just kind of put the strap in the joint of the elbow, which is a terrible place to put a strap because you're constantly like rubbing against it when you're like wearing it. I don't know. So hopefully it will be a learning experience and a fun thing to do and blah blah blah. I'm excited about it. It gives me a good thing to do while I'm sick, while I'm unwell and can't leave the house. Stop that. What you doing? He's shaking his butt at me. Dude's twerking at me for some reason. Weird guy. He's like, what if I just twerk at you? Will you stop attacking me then? I said, no. Bring it on, Moon Goyon. His eyes are weird. I don't like his eyes. Oh, they're supposed to be half-lidded. Okay, that's not what I thought I was looking at. I was looking at it wrong. I thought he had like frog or like goat eyes. Like if you ever looked really closely at like either a frog's eye or a goat's eye, their eyes are kind of like wider. Like the pupil is like a horizontal slit rather than like a vertical slit or a dot. Which I used to know why that's the case. Like, I know with like creatures that hunt in places, like predators that hunt in places where there's like a lot of vertical elements. Hey Cyber, happy Halloween. I feel like crap today, but welcome. I am sick today and I feel like poo-poo, but we're streaming anyway. But thank you. Yeah, for like predators that live in areas with vertical elements, like for example a predator that hunts in like grasslands, you can hear it in my voice. I bet you can. I do not feel great today. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I just, ugh, being sick isn't fun. Anyway, yes, predators that hunt in grasslands, when they do that, their eyes are vertical slits so that they can get more information per observation than otherwise. And for horizontal slits, it's they can view a wider reach around themselves. And for circle ones, it's like the balance of the two. Did you enjoy? Hello, Dark. Oh, people are showing up for my I feel like poop stream. Welcome, I feel like crap today. Oh, well, thank y'all for coming out. Appreciate it. I'm just gonna be playing Dark Club 2, just doing levels in Dark Club 2. That is my whole shtick today. I do not feel energized to do other things. I am sweaty and gross. Even though I've taken a shower today, I still feel like crap. Ugh. I wanted to stream, because I do feel like I've been missing a lot recently, and that never makes me feel good. Lock. And these card people keep twerking at me for some reason. I'm not enjoying that. Stop that, dude. Stop. Stop. Coffee, tea, energy drinks. I mean, I'm drinking like soda right now, so I got caffeine, but it doesn't solve the problem. Still feel like poo-poo. Looks like we got them all. Man, her hands are huge. Oh. Is that it? Really? This? You've got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, you know. Lose yourself in the Spheda. Spheda. It's right there. Okay. You've got one shot. Do not miss your chance to shoot. You did it. Yay. Solve the distortion. And kaboom. And kaboom. Oh, that's useful. That'll be useful for getting Monica's weapon stronger. So I do still need to do that. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I was kind of hoping to do Final Fantasy VIII today. But then I woke up and I was like, oh, I feel terrible. I don't want to do stupid voices. I don't feel like doing stupid voices today. So we're going to have to wait on that a little while longer until I feel well again. You got dancing, Quistis. It's kind of hard to tell what that is unless you know about Quistis's tap dance in that game. Otherwise, it kind of just looks like I don't know, like traffic cones or like maybe a stick. It's a little hard to tell otherwise. Blah. We're actually getting close to having enough medals to afford another costume piece too. Oh, I want to show this off. So we don't have the full clown outfit yet for Max, but I did get a hat that I think matches pretty well. So I've kind of got a clown outfit. Like, this hat actually kind of matches the rest of the costume. So there is technically like a clown hat we could get, but I think I'm gonna abstain from that and go for one of Monica's costumes instead. So, oh, what is that? It's like a scary. It's David the Gnome, I think. Is that a gnome? What is this? What is this thing you just put up here, Dark Man? Back a 9 wave. Okay. Anyway, oh, I gotta buy my more crystals. I should go do that. Go do that. Lazy. How y'all doing today? Y'all doing good today? Not sick, I hope. Having a good afternoon. It may not be afternoon where you live, but it is for me. Doing okay. That's good to hear. Kind of hoping that since you're here, Darkman, and you're a regular on his streams as well, kind of hoping that Rob does some more Metal Gear Solid. I would love to watch that. Oh, I should also point this out. So the only thing I've done in the diorama here is put this down, and you know where to put this because there's like an obvious darkish mark in the middle of the area. So that's how you know where to put that one. And it's like the center part for everything. Road to Golbad. So I can now make the Road to Golbad. I'll make a bunch of these because I'm going to need them. So we can actually do something now. So we have roads to Golbad. So now we go back. I'll show you all how this works. You go back to the main room, and starting from the thing where you know it's supposed to be, the fountain. Brain's not firing on all 6 cylinders right now. You start to build things out from there. So where's the picture of the fountain? Yeah, here we go. So we know, according to the fountain, there should be 1, 2, 3 roads to Golbad away from it. So 3 going towards the palace, 3 moving away from the palace. Let's go put those out there. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's how you do this stage's dioramas. You just use the pictures and you try and like piece together what you need to look at or what you need to do. That's that. That's how that works. Let's put some down. Let's start building out the Moonflower Palace area. Road to Golbad. Yeah. 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 I don't know. I might need more than that. It's supposed to be 4 or 8 over there. The other thing that makes this particularly difficult is that each one of the like conditions for the analysis that you get is like hidden, so you don't really get a good idea of how much analysis you need to do. It just shows 3, and it does show some grass at the end, so I guess that's fine. Let's see if we can get a different angle of this. No. No. Maybe this one. Let's see. It is supposed to be 8. Okay, no. Okay, let me go put out some more. Have you heard of a new game called Sea of Stars? Yes, I have, actually. I have a copy of it, although I haven't played it yet. I've heard that it's not bad, though. It seemed like it was getting good reviews. I did hear someone compare it to Chrono Trigger, which I feel like is one of those things that people are bound to do. It's like when Undertale came out and people were like, oh, it's just like Earthbound, which it's not just like Earthbound. It may be Earthbound inspired. It may have made reference to Earthbound, but it is not just like Earthbound. So I do not expect Sea of Stars to be just like Chrono Trigger. Oh, Yasunori Matsuda? Oh, there you go. I like the idea of Chronic Trigger. Chronic Trigger! Oh, see, I accomplished things. Yeah, look at that. I accomplished things on my own. I didn't even know what I was supposed to do, but I still did it. What do you know about that? Chronic Trigger. I remember when I was a kid, when Chrono Trigger came out. Chronic carpal tunnel. When Chrono Trigger came out, and not this one, this one. The only association I had in my head with the word trigger was a gun, and so I thought it was going to be a game about guns. SNES Strength said it reminded more of Lufia 2. Well, that's not a bad thing. Lufia 2 is great. Lufia 2, I think, is a very, like, well, I was going to say it's underrated. I personally have not heard a whole lot of people talking about it, but that doesn't mean that other people don't know about it. But I think Lufia 2 is a wonderful game. I would love to have seen more. No, not many RPG fans, sadly, too obsessed with. Not many RPGs have guns. Sadly, they're too obsessed with Mel. Oh, Melee, maybe. Yeah, not a whole lot of guns in RPGs. It's true. Did you ever play, did you ever play Resonance of Fate? That's an I guess you'd call it an RPG. That's an RPG with guns. That's a weird game. It's like oh yeah, Wild Arms. That's definitely an RPG about guns. But no, Resonance of Fate was I think it was originally an Xbox game. I played it on PS3 and I didn't finish it, but it's a weird sort of game. It takes place in like in an unusual setting. It takes place in a world. Is the world called Bezel? I think the world was called Bezel, and it's like a clockwork world. Oh, yeah. Lufia 2 had some diabolical puzzles, but I also really liked the puzzles. So I don't know, man. I'd say try it again. Cybernator. I would give that one another shot. Lufia 2 is great. It does have some tricky puzzles in it, admittedly, but I love Lufia 2. It's a great game. Anyway, yeah, it takes place in like a clockwork world, and it's a rare RPG that's a lot more focused on like the characters than the plot. Like, there's a plot, yeah, but it's the Sun Sword. Yes, please. It's more about like the darkness slicing sword. Legendary. Period. Ooh, so cool. Oh, another one? Okay. Which direction should we go? Up, middle. Let's find out. I'm actually gonna find out. Yeah, it's like a game that focuses a lot on the interpersonal relationships between the characters, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. But it does have guns. Like, the combat is kind of weird because if you've ever heard of the company Tri-Ace, they're a game development company that's very famous for their what do you call them? Battle systems. And this is a good example of that. All right, hang on. I guess I can show you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this. Let's see, did I get the right one? Yeah. So we are here. So if I go up, we go to the Chronicle sword. Ooh, the Chronicle of the Chronicle 2. That's probably gonna be these are good swords right here, these two. Big Bang Atlamilia. Well, I'm going towards the Atlamilia sword with the Halloween blade. So probably do that way. And I'm going towards the Dark Cloud with the Amano Murakumo. I keep wanting to say Murakamo. Murakumo is hard for me to say. Amano Murakumo. Alright, so up with this sword. The only way you can go with the Halloween blade. And then down with the Amano Murakumo. Cool. Okay. Yeah, it was kind of a weird, like, fighting system. You would, the way it would work is, like, during battle, you would be, your characters would start off in, like, a big arena, enemies would be on the other side, and you would, like, initiate movement. Like, you'd place a point on the far side of the arena for your character to run towards, like a straight line. And during your run, you could hit the shoot button as long as you had enough AP to do it, and like shoot at specific enemies. And the enemies wouldn't actually take damage until you got to the end of your run. And you could you could like jump and like do all kinds of like flashy tricks and stuff. And so it was a game that was like very focused on like, what would you call it? Like, I guess style over substance might be a good way to put it. There's like lots of like flashy, silly things you could do, and like the characters were like really like full of themselves and very flashy, and I don't know, it was a fun game. I just thought the world that took place in was really interesting, I think. So, all right. 92, 95, 116. So it's definitely my strongest of my three. The strongest of all. Let's go with the Halloween blade for a little while. Because Max is actually pretty close to being done with his weapons, believe it or not. Like, I think the Poison Wrench has like 2 more transformations and then it's done. Well, so Darkman, you mentioned Wild Arms. Does that mean that you've played the Wild Arms series? I have played Wild Arms 1 and Wild Arms 5. And I really, really like Wild Arms 5. I know I've kind of hinted at this for a while now, but I would like to someday play. Oh wait, look how weird. The Sun Sword kind of looks like a fish here, doesn't it? You played every single one, even the PSP one. Awesome, dude. Guess you like the series. Do you have a favorite? I had a friend who played a lot, or I have a friend who played a lot of them too, but I don't know what his particular favorite is. I really liked 5 though. I felt like 5 was a game that was made for me. Like it pushed so many like positive buttons for me. You know, it's like it pushed all the buttons that I needed pushed, I guess, by an RPG. I liked the characters. I liked the fact that there's a world map where you could wander around and like find things. It's just a lot of things about that game that I liked a lot. I don't need these stupid gift capsules. Get you out of here. Get rid of all these. One thing I do think is funny though is like on the briefly on the subject of guns in Wild Arms games, I think it's funny how like in at least Wild Arms 5, some of the characters use the guns as melee weapons. Like Dean will use the main character Dean in that game. He gets these 2 guns, and For those who don't know, what did you cook for dinner? Spaghetti. Spaghetti. Make spaghetti. I want spaghetti right now, so you should cook it for yourself. And tell me if it's good. Yeah, for those who don't know, in the Wild Arms series, guns are referred to as arms. A-R-M-S. That's how you spell the word arms. I mean, it's in capitals. It's like it's an abbreviation. It's an acronym. They are, at least in the first game, they're considered to be like cursed. Oh, good. Glad I could help. They're considered to be like cursed. Like guns destroyed the world in the past or whatever. And so like anyone who uses guns is like a rebel and an outlaw. So yeah, there's that. But of course the main character has guns. And so, I don't know if that's the case in every Wild Arms game, but that's how it is in the first one. So, in Wild Arms 5, the main character, Dean, is he's like an archaeologist, I guess. He's like oh, it's the Kingdom of Guardia over there. This is not gonna work. He, when you first start the game, he actually fights with a shovel, which is hilarious. Because, I mean, there's actually a whole dungeon where you're just fighting with a shovel, which I love. But eventually he finds these two arms, these two guns. And he continues to fight with them by just beating people with them, which is really funny. He uses them as melee weapons, pretty much. Like, I think he's got, like, a special move where he fires the guns, but for the most part, he's just hitting people with the gun parts. Because, like, the guns have, like, a blade extending off of, like, the handle. And so he's like, oh, well, these are kind of like knives. I'll just use these like knives. And it's very silly. I recommend Wild Arms 5, though. That's a fun game. I can't say anything for the rest of them. The thing I remember most about Wild Arms 1 is that it's full of RPG puzzles. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, like, RPGs, especially older ones, have a very specific style of... You've been watching a dude stream 5? 5 is good, man. I like 5. RPGs have a very specific style of puzzles. You know, it's stuff like pushing blocks, finding items to place in locations, decoding traps, that kind of thing. There's like a very specific mindset as far as old school puzzles and RPGs goes. And like, I remember Wild Arms 1 was just like absolutely chock-a-block full of those. And I loved it, because I like those kind of puzzles. That's actually the same thing that I like about Lufia 2, is that it's got a lot of those kind of RPG puzzles. So if you like that kind of stuff, give Wild Arms 1 a try. Give Lufia 2 a try. Play both of those. I have tried to beat Lufia 2 multiple times within recent years, and every time, my save data has gotten erased. So, like, the original SNES release of Lufia 2 had, save data issues, if you didn't know. It's kind of the same thing that happened with Dragon Warrior 1, where it's very prone to just deleting save data. Which is awful. It's a very unfortunate thing. And numerous times I have tried to play Lufia 2, only to have my save data deleted, usually at about halfway through the game. It's very frustrating. It's like I get to like the part where you're building the ship or something, and my save data gets deleted. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm done playing for a while. But I would almost say that, I don't usually say this, but I would actually say maybe emulate that one. Maybe find a digital version, digital means to play Lufia 2. Because otherwise, if you get a cartridge, your save data is probably going to be deleted, which is awful. You know, it's like that's frustrating. I don't want to play on a computer. I'm going to play on my console. I'm going to play my console, which is not a computer. Consoles are not computers, which is genuinely what I believed when I was younger. a big shock to me when I realized that, like, now I'm feeling terrible, dude. I seem more awake. Well, talking to people helps with that, but yeah, thank you. Welcome, Ruguru. I feel like poop today. That's why we're streaming, because... Actually, on that subject, I'm gonna go get some more drink. I'll be right back. I have RC Cola and Halloween cookies. Yay! I made myself some Halloween cookies yesterday. They're they're orange juice cookies. So it's like it's a recipe that I got in the book that's like about it's like a cookie cookbook. And these cookies are cool because they have, like, you make them with orange juice. They have like a really strong citrus flavor. And I'm a huge fan of, like, citrus flavored sweets. Like, I don't really like eating citrus fruits. Like, I don't like grapefruit. I don't really like oranges. But I really like things made with that citrus flavor. And these have like a really strong bite of citrus to them. And then I also got, like, I iced them with icing. I made icing for them as well. And I kind of put a little bit of orange extract in the icing too, so they're like really orangey. Let's see, you make it with both orange and lemon extract. No lime, actually. Although I do have a recipe for lime cookies as well. That one's good too. But these are just made with orange and lemon extract, but yeah, I like citrus fruits. I like citrus-based designs. Like I love that image of like the cross section of a citrus fruit where it's got like the kind of radial look with the little chambers for each one of the fruit sections. I like so many things about citrus fruits except actually eating citrus fruits. You had a cake with soda pop in the batter. It was really sweet. Like a Coke cake, I guess. That's neat. Never heard of that. I have a cookbook called the Coca-Cola Recipes Cookbook. And my family got it for me because they know I'm kind of a soda fiend, and they're like, "Oh, you'll like this." Orange soda. Ooh, orange soda is good. Orange soda is good. Lime soda is also really good. Like if you get what's that brand? It's a Hispanic brand. You can actually get it in a lot of different grocery stores. It's pretty common. It's like Sausalitos or something like that. But they make like a lime soda that's really good. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Coke cookbook. And like I was like, oh sweet, I'm gonna be able to make recipes using Coke. Like half to 2/3 of the book is just an advertisement for Coke. Like I think there's comparatively few recipes in the book. It's mostly just like talking about the history of Coke and how long Coke has been used in cooking and how Coke was invented and blah, blah, blah. It's mostly just like a big advertisement for Coke. And they're like, also here's some recipes. And most of them are stuff like make a beef roast and then maybe put Coke in there at some point. You know, it's like they're the most simple, like the addition of Coke is so low on the totem pole of what you're supposed to do. Y'all remember soda flavored chewing gum with syrup in the center? Ooh, I don't remember that. Is that like a I do remember there was a gum that was like it's like bonkers or something. It was like a square or like a cubic shaped gum that had like a little soft part in the middle, but I don't remember them being specifically geared towards sodas. Huh. I do like soda flavored candy though. Like I like root beer, or the bottle caps soda or candies. And I like soda flavored jelly beans. But I don't know what you're talking about, man. That's not one I recall. Do you know the brand name for it, by any chance? I was never that big into chewing gum, honestly. Like, I think the only chewing gum I ever really dealt with was... You ever had Ramune flavored anything? Yeah, I've had Ramune flavored stuff. Ramune doesn't have a really strong flavor to me, I don't think. Like, I've had the Ramune flavored high chews before. And while it does taste distinctly like Ramune, I'm also sort of like, what is Ramune? What is this? It's a weird flavor. It's like, it's a blue flavor. I guess the best way I can describe it. It's like, this tastes like blue. Don't do that. What is it? What's it like? The Ramune flavor stuff? I mean, it just kind of tastes like... I don't know. It does taste like Ramune, but Ramune itself is a weird flavor. I'm blue, da-boo-dee-da-boo-da. Yeah, it tastes like blue. It tastes like that song. If you know that song, that's what Ramune tastes like. It tastes like blue, da-boo-dee-da-boo-die. Yeah, I don't know. Ramune kind of tastes like... It tastes like sweet carbonated water, which I know is what soda is.
Right.
But, like, if you know what carbonated water tastes like just plain seltzer water, and then you tried to imagine some sugar in there without any other flavor, that's kind of what Ramune is like. It doesn't have, like, it doesn't taste like cola. It doesn't taste like, you know, it has a little bit of a citrus flavor, I guess. But I also would say that, like, seltzer water has kind of a citrus flavor. Chicken Ramune? Oh no. Oh no. Is that a thing? Chicken Ramune. I've never heard of chicken Ramune. I'm stunned, but it comes in a bowl and has noodles? That's amazing. That actually reminds me of something. There was a so I think I've talked about this before. I have a low tolerance for alcohol, but there was a period of time where I was trying to get into mixology because I had a friend who came down to visit me, and he was way into like mixing drinks, and he kind of got me into it. And the way he did that was we just kind of went to, like, he, in advance of his coming to where I live, which is kind of a bigger city than where, well, I was gonna say it's a bigger city than where he lives. It's just a different city. He also lives in a big city. He like looked up a bunch of like bars and like places that had like really good mixed drinks, and he said, "Do you want to come with me? We'll go check out these bars." And I'm not much of a bar goer myself, but you know, he was here and it was his vacation, so I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come with you." And so like we went to a bunch of places, and one of the places had a ramen mixed drink, and they served it in a bowl with noodles. So like we went, he got this like little small bowl with ramen and also alcohol. It was alcoholic ramen. It was just like, what a strange thing this is. He liked it though. He enjoyed it. He's all about those weird flavors. That was his thing. He was like, I want to mix, you know, put together a lot of flavors that are like very confusing to the tongue. So you're like, oh, what is this strange experience I'm having? and you get alcohol and you get drunk at the same time. So I think that's the weirdest mixed drink I've ever seen. I mean, I wouldn't want to drink it. I would probably take a sip. The funniest thing for me was that it had noodles in it, so like you had to eat the noodles too, you know? It's like if you wanted to drink the ramen broth, you also needed to eat the noodles. This is strange. Y'all, I'm feeling better. Thank y'all for coming out and making me feel better. Just talking to people, talking to friends helps. Helps you not feel crappy. Hopefully me just going through levels in Dark Cloud 2 is interesting to you. I mean, this is the experience of the game. As much praise as I heap on this game, because I do think it's a fun game, it is kind of repetitive in a lot of ways. I mean, most of the dungeons are just... because the dungeons are randomly generated, so... or the individual stages are randomly generated. So there's only so much they could do to really spice it up. They couldn't, like, craft dungeons in this game, so you really do the same thing a lot in this game. But, I mean, I like it. The combat can be addictive, yeah. Thank you, Cyber. Appreciate it. Yeah, the combat is good. Again, I was talking earlier, I don't know if it was when y'all were here or not. I was yammering on to myself for like 45 minutes. Which is nothing new, I suppose. But I was trying to think about like how I would improve this game if I had the opportunity to do so. And I think the number one thing I would improve would be the monster transformations. That's like the biggest change that I think needs to be made. It's making the monster transformations more viable, more useful, and just better. The monster transformations is really... it's a very underutilized aspect. The flower bed of recollections. Can't make anything new, though. Picture? Oh, look at this! I didn't know about this. This is so convenient. Such a fate. Zarkman, you know some good games. I also played that one on my channel. Threads of Fate is another game that has monster transformations, and another game where they're very underwhelming. They're so situation specific. Yeah. I feel like it deserved more attention than it got. I mean, I know that that's very much something that, like, if a person likes a video game, they're like, I think this deserves more attention. And, like, I don't know about y'all, but I have this tendency to assume that games that I like are, like, unknown. Unless I really know that they're well known. Like, I'm one of those people that be like, does anybody remember this little gem? And I'm, like, holding up Super Mario Brothers 3 or something, you know? But I do feel like Threads of Fate didn't get a whole lot of attention. And I like it. I think it's a good little story. The characters are really fun. It's not too long, which is a huge thing for me. And I think the strong divergence in personalities between Mint and Rue means that even though both characters go to generally the same locations, their personalities are so different that their personalities and playstyles are so different that you're still gonna feel like you're playing a different game. I don't know. I think Threads of Fate's good. That was during that period of time where Square Enix was like, I think it was like the PlayStation Renaissance, where they made like a lot of like weird games, I guess you could say. It was within like those years between like 97 and 99. They made like all of these. Doggone it. You had to borrow at the time, but you did finish it. Good. Yeah. Ow, guy. Stop it. You're a poop. But yeah, like that time period had like FF7, Chrono Cross, which I have my complaints about, Threads of Fate, Samurai or Bushido Blade, Brave Fencer Musashi, um, Air Guys, FF8, Legend of Mana, Saga Frontier. I don't remember when Saga Frontier 2 came out. But like all these games, just Xenogears, that's a good one. Yeah, Xenogears is one of the biggest tragedies. I'm gesturing towards the screen. Y'all can't see what I'm doing, but I'm gesturing towards the screen right now. That is a tragic circumstance. For those who don't know, Xenogears started off as it was supposed to be not a sequel to Chrono Trigger, but it was supposed to be in the same universe as Chrono Trigger, as is evidenced by the fact that Luca from Chrono Trigger actually shows up in the game, very briefly, as she has a brief cameo in the game. So it was supposed to be kind of like they were going to make like a Final Fantasy series, but for Chrono Trigger, where each the games all carried like the Chrono name, but they weren't actually directly related to each other. And so it's going to be this huge, important game. It was going to be very exciting. And then, like, I want to say it's because of Final Fantasy VIII. Square had to, like, dramatically reallocate funding away from Xenogears to make Final Fantasy VIII happen. And so, like, Xenogears is a 2-disc game. Almost the entire second disc is static images referencing a game that you don't get to play. So it's static images of like the cutscenes and the events that would have happened if they had the money, and the game just tells you about them. It's like, I don't know if I would have rather them not release it or not. It's one of those, it's such an oddity, because it's like, normally you would think with something like that, they would just cancel the game. They wouldn't release it. But for whatever reason, they still opted to release it in this, like, barely there form. And it's so odd, because, like, the first disc of Xenogears is incredible. It's such a cool game. It's got, like, giant robot combat. It's got really good sprite design, and the world is, like, diverse and interesting. It becomes a visual novel, basically, yes! It goes from being a very engaging and exciting RPG to... Actually, visual novel almost oversells it, too. Because I really enjoy visual novels. But, if, like, you write a visual novel differently than you write what Xenogears became. Xenogears, it's more like you're reading reading a walkthrough of the game than it is a visual novel. It's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know why Xenogears turned out that way. I mean, I know why. It's because they ran out of money. But I don't know why they opted to still release it in that form. So, I've never actually played all the way through it. I watched a friend play that one. That's the only reason I had. Actually, I watched a friend play it because he had told me about the second disc, and I'm like, yeah, right, you're exaggerating. It probably just has a lot of text. You're making that up. And then he played it for me, and it was like, oh my gosh, it actually is this. It actually is just static images and pictures. It's just... And again, the story's really cool in the first disc. And then the second disc is just garbage. Oh no, the Ripod! Steve! Steve! Steve, no! That. So yeah, maybe we'll play Xenogears sometime, I don't know. Again, I've never played it myself, so I don't know how hard it is. But... Stormy. Why is this monster called Stormy? He's like a blob. Why is he called Stormy? You're dreaming a dream of a dreaming a dream of a game you'll never get to play, lol. That feels like it's a reference. What is that a reference to? Is that a reference? That feels like it's a reference. The idea of a dream sounds like a reference to Chrono Cross or Radical Dreamers. But I don't know if it's a direct reference. Oh, just two? Okay. It's been a while since I saw it, but I do remember being very frustrated. What a long time. Have you played like disc 1 and then just gotten sad and stopped? I can't blame you there. It's really good. Like the beginning of the game is like interesting and compelling, and like it's got all these cool things happening, and it's got this interesting world, and there's like a flying city and like giant robots, and then it just all falls apart. And then this too happens, and there's like a last little hurrah at the end, and then there's random nudity, and then that's it. That's the end of the game. Yes, Javat! Oh. And I think it's funny that like Xenogears turned into Xenosaga. I think they're related. I think basically, well, are they related? I don't know if they're related or not. I always assume they were related because they both have Xeno in there. But I don't think that Xenoblade is related. It just has Xeno in it. So I don't know if they have any relation or not. But the Xenosaga trilogy is basically just a movie. It's a movie where sometimes you push a button. I saw you said something, Dark Man. Give me a sec. Marathon the Saga trilogy, but I was hopped with energy drinks to get more much. Yeah. I tried playing through Xenosaga 1, and I think I got basically off the initial. I got off the research ship with Shion, and I got to the part where you start playing as Ziggy, and I just kind of lost enthusiasm, really. Like, Xenosaga 1 takes place with, like, a variety of different protagonists. So the first protagonist you get is Shion, who is a researcher aboard, like, this, research vessel, who is responsible for building a combat android named Cosmos. It's an acronym. KOS-MOS. Yeah, that's what kept happening. I kept dying randomly, and I hated it. I was like, I just kept, like, I think I kept dying from poison. Things would poison me, and I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't have any antidotes. But yeah, Cosmos is she's like a battle android that's designed to fight. What are they called? Gnosis, I think. It's like Gnosis. That are like interdimensional beings that when they insert themselves into like our dimension, they can hurt us, but we can't hurt them. So Cosmos was supposed to be able to like create a special energy field that makes them tangible. And so once they're tangible, you can fight them. That's the idea. The Xenosaga series has a lot of like techno jargon in it, so I'm probably glossing over a lot of things, but that's the general idea, is that she was supposed to be this robot that can make the Gnosis fightable and also be able to take on the Gnosis when they're fightable. And you can argue that a lot of Xenosaga 1 is about kind of like Cosmos learning to be human, learning to love, so to speak. Not really, but she's learning to be human. Oh wow, okay, Shining Garage, let's go. So that's like the first protagonist, and then did I get a laser sword? Oh, look at my laser sword. Awesome, I want that. Dude, it's cool. Nice. Nice. All right, let's see. Is it what was your attack power status? 110. I think that means this is probably the lowest attack power one now. 92. They're about equal. We can start trading them out. Stats that. If it's wrong to slice bread with a laser sword, then I don't want to be right. Yeah. Laser sword. Laser butter knife. Oh, so cool. Freaking Nights into Dreams over here. I don't know. Oh yeah, Xenosaga. So like the Shion is like the first thing to do, and then you encounter this. Then you have to start playing as this dude named is like Ziggurat 12 or something is his full name, but they call him Ziggy. He's like a half android guy, and like he's being sent in to like rescue a little girl from imprisonment. And it's like it should be cool, but like Darkman was saying, the status abnormalities are so bad that you're kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, he's like a cyborg dude. He's got like robot legs, I think. Whatever. Maybe I'll play it again someday. I don't know. I was really interested in it. Like in the same sense that I'm interested in the Dot Hack series, because it's like a game that takes place over the course of like multiple PlayStation 2 discs. I'm like, whoa, they must have had a huge story that they wanted to tell. I'm the same way about Xenosaga. I'm like, whoa, this game takes place over 3 PlayStation 2 games? This must have been a huge story that they wanted to tell. So like, I'm interested in it, but I don't know, man. When it comes to like watching a movie trilogy, you just have to watch it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to grind to watch Lord of the Rings. You just have to watch it. But like, I don't know, man. Xenosaga, that's a lot of work. The other thing that's kind of funny about Xenosaga is that like I have a friend who he actually did play through Xenosaga 1 all the way through, and he said like the #1 thing you have to do in like the first section is you have to gamble a lot. Like there's some kind of something you can do with Shion where you can open up like a slot machine or something, and you have to do it within like the first hour of the game. But if you do that, you can basically make like unlimited amounts of money. He's like, you gotta open up the slot, you gotta gamble a lot. Right up front. If you forget about the gambling, it's gonna be a problem later on. And suffice it to say, I forgot about the gambling, so it was a problem later on. Blech. Seems like you've played a lot of classic RPGs, Darkman. You a big fan of RPGs from like the PlayStation 2 era? Was that like when you were most active or initially active playing games? Doggone it, not that bad. I started getting into RPGs in like the Super Nintendo era, and then it carried. I really got into them in the PS1 era. Oh, if it's an RPG, I'll play it. There's some particularly bad ones on the SNES. If you look at the entire catalog of SNES games, like the funny thing that I learned growing older is like seeing all of the RPGs that weren't translated on the SNES, and it's like, oh, they didn't translate these because they're terrible. There's so many like really awful and like mediocre RPGs for the SNES that were released only in Japan. Like
All right. That
like
takes care of
Eternal
you
Thelena.
guys.
I have a physical copy of that. It is it's unique. The best way I can describe it. It's a game about a girl who she was like the princess of a fallen kingdom, and to protect her identity after she was captured, dig an OG and remake of Trails of Mana. Trails of Mana? Trials of Mana. Oh yeah. Well, that's actually been one thing that I'm pretty happy about with Square Enix recently, is they've been releasing a lot of like their old catalog on like their old SNES catalog, and it's like, it's great. Why didn't y'all do that sooner? It's wonderful that y'all are doing it now, but you know, this is an opportunity you could have had for years. Maybe we'll get Treasure Hunter G. Maybe we'll get frickin' Rudra no Hio. I love Rudra no Hio. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Eternal Thelena. Basically, so she pretends she's a man for a while, and then she gets into like this gladiator fight where like one of the rewards is like a female slave of your own, and so she basically gets a wife. And she's, you know, she's not a lesbian, so she's like, I don't know what to do with this, and like the wife is like, oh, it's fine, I'll just pretend you're a man and we'll work out. And she's like, okay, sure, I guess. It's very silly. What are some other? There's the Kingdom of Waz. There's this one game called Grand Historia that has not been translated either officially or by fans, and I really want it to be. Mono Collection on Switch. Yeah, you should get the Mono Collection. You can play the original Seiken Densetsu 1 Final Fantasy Adventure on that. I thought it was a book. Okay, Emerald. My opinions on Final Fantasy Adventure were bad for a long time because I never played the Game Boy one. I'd only ever played the Game Boy Advance one. The Game Boy Advance version is trash compared to the original. Like, the original Game Boy one is fun. The Game Boy Advance one just makes you feel bad about life. That's a miserable plot if ever there was one. That game's a downer. But the original FF Adventure is great. Super fun. You can play Secret of Mana. You can play Trials of Mana, aka Stone of Mana, because that's what I think of it as. Kirby Zelda Advance Wars. Oh, GBA had so many good games. Yeah. GBA was about when I was getting out of handhelds, though. Like, I really liked the Game Boy and the Game Boy Pocket and Color, but I mean, I like the GBA too, I guess. But I stopped playing as many handheld games around that time. I'll tell you, the reason for it was just the lack of a backlight. You know, I know that they did that to save on battery life, but I mean, it really killed the playability of so many GBA games. Dragon Ball game on GBA is amazing. Enjoying the new Mario game. Oh, Mario Wonder? I played it a little bit. I like it. My biggest complaint about Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the little, like, talking flowers, I kind of hate them. I wish you could turn those off. Like, you know the ones I'm talking about? The ones that, like, are constantly just saying things as you walk through the stage. I mean, it's not that there's anything wrong with the voice or anything like that. It's just like, I'm like, stop talking. Go away. I don't want you here. Oh, the condition you, sitting by the stairs. Okay, it's good to know. No, I mean, I think he does a good. I think he does a good voice performance. I think the voice is fine. I just don't want him commenting on things constantly. Like every time I walk by one, I'm just like, "Shut up, guy! I'm doing something. Stop talking." Like I think the voice actor did a fine job. I just don't know what the purpose of putting those things like all over the levels is. Like, why are they there? Just why are they there? I really don't like it. It drives me crazy. I'm like, shut up! Stop talking! You did a fine job. The vocal performance is fine. I just don't know what the purpose of putting so many little talkative bell sprouts there now. Talkative weeping bells everywhere are. Like, I'm a dude who yammers to myself while I'm playing games. I don't need this other dude coming along telling me about the game. I'll talk to myself. I'm a Let's Player. I talk to myself all the time. I don't know. Again, it's fine. If you like it, good. If it doesn't bother you, great. And the guy did a good job. I wish I could turn him off. I don't want him in my game. And actually, as I've been playing, the only character I've played as is Daisy. I feel like I should play as some other characters, but I mean, it's a game where you can play as Daisy. I'm gonna play as Daisy. Give me the option to play as my girl Daisy. I'm gonna play as her. She's super neato, and she lets everyone know, hi, she is Daisy. There you go. I'm also not super sold on the elephant transformation. Like, when I first saw that in the little promo, you know, like before the game was out, they showed the promo of like Mario picking up the item and then turning into an elephant, and that was like the whole promo. I was like, oh, okay, so they're gonna have like a bunch of weird, exciting transformations, and that may still be the case. I haven't beaten the game or anything like that, but they kind of, you know, like I got the elephant transformation, and then I keep getting the elephant transformation, and it's like, give me something else. Is there anything else? Just the elephant transformation? Wait a sec, where was I supposed to go from here? Up again? Hang on. Stone sword. Yeah, up again. This one. But no, I think it's good so far. I'm enjoying it so far. I was thinking the other day about how differently it feels like levels are made in Mario games. Hope to see that elephant Mario plush soon. Yeah. I like the fact that all the characters turn into elephants, you know? What I mean by that is that I feel like at one point in time they would have tried to make like cute girl elephants that were like not big somehow. And it's kind of nice that like, nah, girls can be elephants too. You know, it's a weird thing. I know that's a minor thing, but like I like the fact that everybody can turn into an elephant. It's like, oh look, everybody's elephants. That's cool. I don't know. I didn't explain that very. Oh no, I'm petrified. I didn't explain that very well. I would like more transformations, though. Like, one thing that was pointed out to me by Game Grumps was the fact that, like, in older Mario games, there was less situational use of power-ups. Like, you would get a power-up, and then the level wasn't built on the assumption that you had that power-up, so to speak. Like, if you think about a modern Mario game, oftentimes, well, let me back up. Some modern Mario games, you've only seen one other new power-up? Okay, well, I haven't got that. Excuse me. I was just giving me bits. I haven't gotten that far. But, there was a period of time where, like, if you wanted to get through the level and, like, get all the special items or whatever, you're basically expected to have a certain power-up, and the level would constantly give you that power-up over and over again. They're like, oh, you need the penguin power-up, so here's more penguin power-up. Here it is over and over again. And so, like, if you had, like, a power-up you liked, you were put in this situation where you're like, okay, do I intentionally hamstring myself by not getting the power-up that the level's built around so I can keep this other power-up that I just like more? As compared to, like, Super Mario Bros. 3, where if you got the Tanuki suit, you hung on to that thing as long as you could. Or if you got the Hammer Brothers suit, heck yeah, you're gonna keep that for the rest of the game if you can. There's something like, there was a sense of, like, player imperative in the way they used to give you power-ups. Or even something like Super Mario World, where you pretty much just had Fire Flower or Cape. You could choose which, you know, do you want artillery? To go Fire Flower. You know, it's like, are you confident in your platforming? Well, then you don't need the Cape, so just use the Fire Flower. Are you less confident in your platforming, or you want to be able to get to high places? Well, use the Cape. And, you know, you just kind of use the one that you felt like would be most appropriate for the circumstance. I like that. I don't want the game to tell me what power-up I need to use, I guess. That gets back to what I was saying with FF3 earlier, the idea that, like, the game made it clear that this area was designed around this one ability. So if you didn't have that ability, you're kind of in trouble. I'm just grumbling because I'm sick. Speaking of, actually, my throat is starting to hurt, so I'm probably going to wrap it up after this level. Oh, that face, though. I don't want that. Oh, no. No, Rock Taster, no. It's a freaking rock biter over here. I am the nothing. I will destroy you, rock biter. Ugh. This laser sword is cool, though. It's not a laser sword, it's a crystal sword. Look at that. It's like a crystal sword that glows from the inside. Oh, that's even cooler. It's like the aggro crag. Oh, dude, I'm fighting people with the aggro crag. Yes! Shoot, which way was I supposed to go with this? Up or down? Can't remember now. I want to fight people with the aggro crag. I'm supposed to go down. Okay. Do y'all remember the aggro crag? Y'all, am I too old for that? Kind of looks like the Force Sword from Star Ocean 2. You know, I never beat Star Ocean 2. I beat Star Ocean 1 on the... I actually have a reproduction card of the SNES Star Ocean 1. But I got, like... What caused me to stop playing Star Ocean 2? I don't remember, actually, no. It's not a good sword, but it can jump to a lot of good ones. Yeah, the aggro crag from Nickelodeon Guts. Do you have it? Guts! Do you have it? Guts! Man, I wanted to be on that show. I know people like to say that they wanted to be on, like, Legends of the Hidden Temple. And I also wanted to be on Legends of the Hidden Temple, but I definitely really wanted to be on Nickelodeon Guts. Oh, do you not know what it is, Cyber? I can explain. Nickelodeon Guts was a, it was like an athletic game show, in the mid-90s on Nickelodeon. And it was like it was kind of like a celebration of sports, but they were like crazy sports. It was kind of like American Gladiators for kids. You're old enough to remember the skit show, All That? Very good. That's about that time. Yeah. But it was cool. Like they had all kinds of like event. Like they had one of the things you saw a lot were like kids attached to like bungee cords so that they could jump higher. Oh, you know Guts. You were just developing yourself. Okay, no, I'll stop rambling then. But yeah, I want to be on that show. I like that show. There's so many cool games on it too. Oh, that game and Nick Arcade. I really want to be on Nick Arcade too. Nick Arcade, you got to be in the game. You got to be in a video game on Nick Arcade. Oh, so cool. Oh, and I wanted to be on Double Dare. Man, there were so many cool game shows back then. I was gonna say, why wasn't I a kid at that time? I was a kid at that time. I just wasn't on any of these game shows. I didn't live in Florida. Oh yeah, the new version of Takeshi's Castle. I've heard of that. Takeshi's Castle's a little different though. I feel like no one does well at Takeshi's Castle. You know, that's not the point of Takeshi's Castle. Like you go to Takeshi's Castle to like lose and be funny about it. Like Nickelodeon says you actually did want to win. Ugh. I do think that that's a particularly funny idea for a game show, though. Like, they just want people to come on and act like idiots, and so they gave them, like, a fun means to do so. Yeah, the Takeshi that's referenced in Takeshi's Castle is Beat Takeshi, right? the director or whatever? I still mostly know Beat Takeshi from Takeshi's Challenge, the NES game. And I mostly know Takeshi's Challenge from the JonTron video. I've never actually played it myself. But what a ballsy thing to do, to basically release a game that was supposed to like wear you down in how frustrating it was to play. And then even if you won the game kind of made fun of you for winning it. What a dick move, man. You watched Johnny Mnemonic last weekend? I've heard of Johnny Mnemonic, but I've never seen it before. Is it good? That's that one with like it's got Keanu Reeves in it, I think, and it's got like it's like a cyberpunk movie, something like that. I guess she was a comedian, probably got involved in Yakuza and stuff, and started making art house violence films. Huh. Yeah, I think it's an interesting Like, I mean, based on, again, mostly that JonTron video, it sounds like he had a pretty extensive, career. Yeah. Battle Royale. I'd never seen Battle Royale, but I knew he was in it. The concept behind Battle Royale is just too depressing to me. It's one of those things where it's like, I empathize too much, you know? Like, the idea of being in that situation is too sad for me, and I can't watch. Like, I can't take myself out of it. I just immediately think, it's like, this is awful. It's the same thing with some, like, Squid Game. You know, I'm like, I can't do it. I don't want to live in that world. And if you make me watch this, I will live in that world, and I don't want to be there. I'm not going to engage. I miss out on a lot of stuff because of that, but I'm inclined to believe it's preventing me from being depressed all the time. Like at my local bookstore, there is a novelization of Battle Royale. I don't know if it's supposed. Like you say, Battle Royale 2000. I don't know if there was. I didn't know that there were like multiple versions of Battle Royale. I only knew the one. But there's like a novelization of Battle Royale, and every time I see it, I'm like, oh, this makes me sad. It makes me sad. I hate that this exists. I don't know, man. That idea of like being in a situation where you're forced through circumstances to abandon all morality. I feel like everyone's lost at that point, you know? And I think that's probably the idea, is that like it puts you in a situation where it's like, oh, people are terrible or whatever. But, I don't know. I don't need to be reminded of that. Can't recommend Johnny Mnemonic enough. Ice-T, Henry Rollins, Pure Hacking Rubber Dolphins, Dolph Lundgren as a preacher hitman.
That takes care of you guys.
Closest thing to a Neuromancer. Okay, Neuromancer. That's another name that I've heard, but I don't know what it is. What is Neuromancer? Is it like a person who uses brain magic? Like a neuromancer? Or what is it? Like, I've heard Neuromancer referenced in conjunction with, like, Blade Runner as well. But I don't actually know what Neuromancer is.
Not doing too
Can you
bad.
briefly describe what that is, Cyber? Where am I going? I'm going weird.
Not doing too bad.
Actually, briefly on the subject of Blade Runner.
Get lost, you runts.
If you've never seen it before, the
Not doing too bad.
the world in the adventure game Ripper actually has kind of a Blade Runner-y cyberpunk feel to it too, which is interesting.
Gotta hang in there.
I actually really like Ripper for all that I've never played it myself. I've watched it, but I think it's a cool idea.
Not doing
It's
too
silly,
bad.
but I think it's a cool idea. Neuromancer is the name of one of the first cyberpunk novels. Okay, it's Japanese, isn't it? I feel like I've heard it was a Japanese story, but I don't know if it is or not. I don't know a whole lot about cyberpunk outside of the idea that it's sort of a dystopian thing, has a lot of like people with augments and such. Would you recommend the... It's not Japanese. Would you recommend the novel, Cyber? Like, have you read Neuromancer before? I wonder why I thought it was Japanese. Oh, a diamond! Okay, so this is important. One of these sort of dick moves that this game does, is getting the, So if you want to do a completionist thing, that was okay, it had good ideas, that's correct, but maybe I won't read it. I don't like depressing. If you want to get a full monster transformation set, you need to get the card transformation badge, among others. The only way you can get the card transformation badge, as far as I understand it, is to get 3 diamonds and then throw them at specifically a diamond card warrior. The problem is, it's very hard to get diamonds in this game. Usually you only get them through rewards from Spheda, and when you get them, they're like some of the best things you can put into your weapons. So you're more likely, unless you know about that, to just put it in your weapon as soon as you get it. I was very frustrated when I found out about this. As a result, I've had these, well, up till now it was 2, but I've had these diamonds in my inventory the whole game because I knew about that. So now I can finally go get the diamond card, which is good. But anyway. Alright, y'all. Well, as I said, now my throat's kind of hurting, so I should probably stop. But I thank y'all for coming out. I'm glad I had people here to talk to. Hopefully this, this stream, I'll put this VOD up later. Hopefully it'll be entertaining. But I certainly am in a better mood now. I appreciate that. So thank you for chatting. Thank you for coming out. And hopefully I'll get over this pretty soon and I'll be back to my silly voiced Mo as normal. But until then, I'll let y'all go. I'm MoeChicken. This has been Dark Cloud 2, and thank you for stopping by.